But that's not the only based thing that Elon Musk did this week. Elon Musk also totally savaged a BBC reporter. I was in the Twitter space last night. It was amazing. It was so funny. We are going to watch my favorite clip of it. But let me read you a little bit of this article. Please mount that like button for me if you have not already, guys. Twitter CEO blasted a BBC reporter during Tuesday's hastily arranged interview when the journalist failed to cite specific examples of hate speech flourishing on the social media platform. As they discussed looming layoffs and the painful journey Musk, 51, has gone through following his Twitter acquisition, BBC reporter James Clayton decided to confront the Tesla founder about allegations that he does not have enough staff to police hate speech on Twitter. What hate speech are you talking about? Musk asks. I mean, I use Twitter. Do you see a rise in hate speech? Just a personal anecdote? I don't. When Clayton answered that he did not personally see more hate speech on Twitter, Musk challenged him to name just one example, but the reporter could not come up with one. Let's just, you know what? Let's just watch the clip. You guys can all, if you haven't seen it yet, you're about to see the best thing you're going to see all day. If you have already seen it, it's worth watching again. About 3 minutes long. Let's take a listen.
I've spoken to people who have been sacked. I would only just add that, we have spoken to people who have been sacked that used to be in content moderation, and we've spoken to people very recently who were involved in moderation, and they just say there's not enough people to police this stuff, particularly around hate speech in the company. Is that
what hate
that
speech are you talking about? I mean, you use Twitter,
right?
Do you see a rise in hate speech?
I mean,
just a personal anecdote. Like, what do you? I don't.
Personally, for you, I would see I get more of that kind of content, personally. But I'm not going to talk to the rest of for the rest of Twitter.
You see more hate speech personally.
I would say I would see more hateful content in that.
Content you don't like or hateful. What do you mean to describe a hateful thing?
Yeah, I mean, just content that will solicit a reaction, something that may include something that is slightly racist or slightly sexist, those kinds of things.
So you think if something is slightly sexist, it should be banned?
No,
is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying anything. I'm
just curious. I'm trying to understand what you mean by hateful content. And I'm asking for specific examples. And you just said that if something is slightly sexist, that's hateful content. Does that mean that it should be banned?
Well, you've asked me whether my feed, whether it's got less or more. I'd say it's got slightly more.
That's why I'm asking for examples. Can you name one example?
I honestly don't need. You
can't name a single example.
I'll tell you why, because I don't actually use that for you feed anymore, because I just don't particularly like it.
But you said
a lot of people are quite similar. I only look at
hang on a second. You said you've seen
following.
more hateful content, but you can't name a single example, not even one.
I'm not sure I've used that feed for the last 3 or 4 weeks. And
then how did you see the hateful content?
Because I've been using Twitter since you've taken it over for the last 6 months.
Okay, so then you must have at some point seen the for you hateful content. I'm asking for one example.
Right.
And you can't give a single one.
And I'm saying
I say, sir, that you don't know what you're talking about.
Really?
Yes, because you can't give me a single example of hateful.
That was. I just need to pause. We're gonna relive that. That was my favorite moment of the entire Twitter space. I say, sir, that you don't know what you're talking about. Everyone needs to just. You need to just bottle that line and put it in your back pocket. Anytime you encounter someone like this, I say, sir, you don't know what you're talking about. Everyone practice. I say, sir, you don't know what you're talking about. With the appropriate amount of righteous indignation, let's relive it again.
So at some point seen the for you hateful content. I'm asking for one example.
Right.
And you can't give a single one.
And I'm saying...
I say, sir, that you don't know what you're talking about.
Really?
Yes, because you can't give me a single example of hateful
content. Never gets old. It's so good.
Tweet, and yet you claimed that the hateful content was high.
Well,
that's a false.
No, what I claimed...
You just lied.
What I claimed was there are many organizations that say that kind of information is on the rise. Now, whether it has on my feed or not... I mean, right, and
Literally
if you
can't
look at
name
something
one.
like the Strategic Dialogue Institute in the UK, they will say that. So
Look, people will say all sorts of nonsense. I'm literally asking for a
Right.
single example, and you can't name one.
Right, and as I already said, I don't use that feed. But
Well, then how would you know that?
I don't think this is getting anywhere.
You literally said you experienced more hateful content, and then couldn't name a single example.
Right, and as I said,
that's absurd.
I haven't actually looked at that feed.
Then how would you know this hateful content?
Because I'm saying that's what I saw a few weeks ago. I can't give you an exact example. Let's move on. We only have a certain amount of time.
Wow.
COVID misinformation. You changed the COVID misinformation.
Has
rules.
BBC changed its COVID misinformation?
The BBC does not set the rules on Twitter, so I'm asking you.
No, I'm talking about the BBC's misinformation about COVID.
I'm literally asking you about, you changed the labels, the COVID misinformation labels. There used to be a policy, it then disappeared. Why do that?
Well, COVID is no longer an issue. Does the BBC hold itself at all responsible for misinformation regarding masking and side effects of vaccinations, and not reporting on that at all? And what about the fact that the BBC was put under pressure by the British government to change its editorial policy? Are you aware of that?
This is not an interview about the BBC.
Oh, so... you thought it wasn't?
And I see now why you've done Twitter Spaces. I am not a representative of the BBC's editorial policy. I want to make that clear. Let's talk about something else. You want to talk about the BBC? You too. All right, let's talk about something else.
You weren't expecting that.
Let's talk about something else.
Based king. Based king. Okay, listen, man. Here's the thing. Elon Musk is a human being. He's also autistic, which means he doesn't think necessarily the same way that we might all, think. Although I do actually have a lot of autists in my audience, so who knows? Maybe you guys do think the way Elon Musk thinks. Nick says, Musk politely telling him to go F himself. Listen, the reason I say that Elon Musk is a person is because real people have faults, and real people are not always going to make the right decision. And even when Elon Musk makes decisions that pisses people off, it's stuff like this. This is the reason that Elon Musk must be protected at all costs. And we must allow Elon Musk the latitude to make piss poor decisions and then learn from his piss poor decisions and retract them. And then he'll go on to pretend he never made the decision in the first place. Fine. But don't write the guy off because he makes bad decisions every now and again. Because when he does stuff like this, I'm sorry, it's worth it. And one of the things that I do actually respect about Elon Musk is even when he makes a hasty, brash decision, like disabling every link to Substack on his platform, that was stupid. But he got a lot of negative feedback and he reversed course. And he's still pissy about Substack. He's still lying about Substack. But I don't even care because he reversed the decision. So no harm, no foul. Listen, the best that we can hope for from like normal people is that when they do something that's stupid, they reverse it. And then you look at the full breadth of all of the other good things that they've done. And that was amazing. That was a moment the world needed. That BBC journalist got exactly what he deserved in every possible way. F the BBC, man. F NPR, F the BBC. Elon Musk is my based king. Based king. He must be protected at all costs. When he does something wrong, we need to let him know. But other than that, you know what? Do your thing, Elon. Do your thing.